Hello, this is Mr. Jared, and in this video tutorial, we are going to be 3D modeling this object in SOLIDWORKS. So the first thing I'm going to take note of here is my origin, and you can see that it is located on the bottom of the part, and it's pretty much right in the middle. You can also tell that just by looking at the overall width and the measurement that they give you from the far left side to the origin, and that is half of the overall width. So that tells me that this thing is dead center right on the bottom. Okay, and it's also on the front of this. Now the second thing I'll take note of are my units. So you can see here that I am in MMGS, so I will have to actually change because my computer defaults to IPS. Now when I'm looking at this, it may look awfully confusing, but this is actually a pretty easy part to draw. So first off, just to kind of clear up some of the confusion, the base of this used to be a big rectangle, and you can kind of see they show little projection lines here just to help you see that and understand that a little bit more. So these lines right here that I'm tracing, those are not solid lines that you will draw, but instead they're actually projection lines. They used to be there. Okay, looking a little bit further, you see that there are 4 different holes. This one currently is a hidden hole. That's why it's dashed a little bit. That's because it's behind this wall. The back 2 holes you can see are a measurement of 8, and the front 2 holes are a measurement of 9. So we need to remember not to confuse those or not make them all equal, rather, because they are slightly different in size. As far as this whole middle part goes, this looks very confusing, but really it's pretty easy. If you look at the right side of it, you can see that it kind of just goes up, in, up, and then there's a big curve to the front. Okay, so if we extrude that thing all the way across, that's the main part of it. Now this part in the middle is probably the most confusing part, but again, it's pretty easy. So this is actually flat. This wall here and this hidden line, which represents another wall here, those are angles, and you can see it says 30 degrees. So it goes up on a 30-degree angle, out on a 30-degree angle here, and this big circle that you actually see is an inscribed circle of a polygon. So this cutout back here is actually a 6-sided polygon at 30 degrees. That means it's going to be 6-sided. It's going to be a regular polygon, and it's simply just cut straight through. The center of the polygon is even with this top corner. So if the curve were to continue, it would go right here, okay, and it would be even with that. You can also see that over here. It projects over and straight down into this corner. So that is actually a lot easier to read than you might think. Okay, so I'm going to start out by pulling this over to my other screen. And in SOLIDWORKS, we're going to make a new part. And we need to make sure that we are in MMGS. Okay, so I had to switch mine. Now we're going to be sketching on the top plane, actually, the top plane. And I'm going to mirror all my stuff over. So I'm just going to start out by getting a line and setting it for construction and just drawing straight up, drawing over, okay, and back to it. Now all 3 of these lines here I'll select. So I might have to hold in Shift and select them. And I'll just uncheck the box that says for construction. So these 3 lines need to be solid. That one, however, needs to be a construction line. We'll simply just dimension all this. So this is 53 across. The overall depth is 52. And everything's fully defined right now, but we can actually go a step further. We can chamfer this corner. Okay, I know some people will actually use the line tool and then trim, but I'm going to use the chamfer tool. So that's underneath the sketch fillet. And if you're looking at the measurement, it says that we need a measurement of 45 degrees and 13. So looking at your parameters, there is one that has an angle and a distance. So that's perfect. Okay, now 45 degrees, I'm sure you're smart enough to understand no matter how we cut this, if we cut the 45 that way or we cut the 45 this way, it's still going to be 45 both ways. Okay, but what I will explain with the chamfer tool is whatever option is first is going to be affected to the line that you click first. Okay, So if I were to click this line first and then this, the 13 will show up over here. If I click this line first, then this, the 13 will show up over here. Okay, so I'll just select these two, as you can see. So the 45 is like that, the 13 is here. But keep in mind, 45 is actually the same. It's on the other side as well. Okay, so that's all good. Let's get our circle tool. We'll draw two circles. Okay, we'll measure the bottom one to be a diameter of 9 and the top one to be a diameter of 8. They are right above one another, so if you select the center of both of these by holding in Shift and making them vertical, okay, and then from the origin or the construction line over to the center, it says they are 40. And as far as up and down or back from the origin, that's going to be on the far right side of the picture. And you can see from the back to the center of this one, it says it's 13. And then from circle to circle is 19. Okay, so those are all placed in here. I'm going to get off my dimension tool. I'm just going to click and hold out here in the empty spot, highlight everything. And when I hit my Mirror Entities button, SOLIDWORKS is smart enough to understand that this is a construction line and we're going to be mirroring across. So there we go. We have everything nice and set. The origin's in the correct spot. I can go to my Features tab and hit Extrude. And I need to be making sure that I'm going up because we want that origin to be located on the bottom. So the overall thickness here is 14. You can hit the green check. That's the entire base of this. So the next thing that we need to do is draw that middle section. And if you move your mouse over these planes, you can actually see that we have a plane that cuts right through the middle of it. That's going to be our right plane. So you can do this in two different ways. You can select the right plane first and hit your sketch button. Or if you go to your sketch tab, it's going to ask you to select a plane. You simply hit the drop down and your right plane. Okay, so either way, we are sketching on our right plane. I'll hit Control 8, so normal 2, and it rotates me around to this nice view. And from here, I'm just going to use my line tool. I'll start right here at this corner. I'll draw across. I'll draw up, in, up, and then I need the arc tool that goes back. So you could use the 3-point arc tool or this little trick that I've showed some of you before, or maybe you've seen another one of my videos. With the line tool selected, if you just go back over that point, it actually turns into a couple different types of arcs. So as you saw there was a tangent arc, and then it turned into the 3-point arc. Okay, so just a little quick, unique tool there. Now we can go ahead and dimension this, and the first thing that we need to dimension is actually the overall height. So from here up to here, which is going to be 21. Now that 21 was pretty easy to understand where that came from, but I'm going to actually pull the picture back over to the screen to kind of explain to the rest of this. So if you look real close in here at the back half of this, you will see from the back edge of this shape, follow that extension line up and into that same corner that we just did the 21 to, that is a distance of 11. Now from the back into this first vertical line that we drew, that is a distance of 5. So the difference here, meaning this little horizontal line, is actually 6. And then as far as the height goes, this little line, if I follow that over, you can see that is also 5. Okay, and this big arc has a radius of 54, and it shows a center point kind of down and underneath this entire thing. So let's continue by finishing this dimensioning up. So we're actually going to go from that point to this back half is 11. Okay, from this vertical line to the back is 5. And the height of that little vertical line is also 5. So that's all defined. Now this arc itself needs to have a radius of 54. Okay, so that should all be fully defined. Now if I go to the Features tab and hit Extrude, I'm going to rotate to a 3D view just so you can see. We are right in the middle of this, so we actually want to go both ways. And the total distance for both ways there, if you look at all of that mess at the back as far as the dimension goes and you look towards the top, it says it has a total of 54. Okay, now I am not going to go just 54 in one direction. I will actually want to change this from blind to midplane, and it will go both directions, and it will split that 54. Okay, we'll hit the green check, and we know it's even because it also has 27 to the middle, and 27 plus 27 is 54. So 2 extrusions so far. We have pretty much this entire thing. We just need that big middle section cut out. So to do so, I'm going to rotate around to the back, and I'm actually going to be sketching back here on this flat face. Okay, now it doesn't matter if you select this piece or this piece. I'm just going to use this piece because it's right there. I'll hit Control 8, and now that I'm on my flat view, I'm actually going to use my polygon tool. And we need this to have a total of 6 sides. We want it to be inscribed, and I'm simply going to move my mouse up here, and you'll see that there's a center point right there that I'm going to be working off of. Now, why am I going to work off of that center point? Well, if we look at where the center of this circle is, see it's right here, there's actually projection lines that show going out, and that was the removed corner that this stuff goes to. Okay? I'll move this back. That is my center line, and I'll kind of just draw straight out like this. Right? Now, this thing can still rotate. You can see that's locked in the midpoint here. We want this bottom line to be a horizontal line, so select it and make it horizontal. Okay, so that'll keep it from rotating, but it can still grow and shrink right now. Since it does have 6 sides, this is automatically 30 degrees, so we don't need to do that. But we do need to dimension here is the inscribed circle. So if you get your dimension tool and you select that circle, you can change this to a diameter of 32, and it will place it all perfect. So that's actually a lot easier than it looked like it was going to be at the very beginning. We'll go to the Features tab, Extrude Cut, and here we will change this from blind to through all. So it cuts through everything. Make sure yours is actually going this way. It's not just going backwards. And we'll hit the green check, and there's your inside cutout. It's kind of a neat shape. So let's go to change our materials here. The material is cast alloy steel, which is a default. And you can go up to Evaluate and Mass Properties, and you should get 706.69 grams. You should have a 0 value for your X, positive Y, negative value for your Z. If you got that, you can save this and move on to the next one. If you didn't, please problem solve, figure out where you went wrong, and fix it until you have it correct.